Scott Schaefer's mom and dad. When I first started this project, I thought about Scott's dad. He had an extremely creative job. I don't know much about what he did. My brother and I loved the Schaefer family. Here's the story told by Scott. My dad, Bob Schaefer, would do whatever was necessary to make sure me and my brother Rick's life were full of unique experiences that seemed to ultimately, upon reflection, to have some sort of life lessons tied to it. He wasn't one to blow his own horn. Back in the elementary school days at Mariners, I would often ask him to come talk to my class about what he did for a living. Because, let's face it, he had a pretty cool job as a television writer, and I was very proud of that. No matter how many times I asked, he would always beg off. I really think it was because he didn't want to appear boastful about how he made his living. He did have access to Lassie's show on film that I would bring to class and show on the projector during show and tell time. That went over pretty well with the kids in class. It wasn't until my son, Cameron, was in elementary school in Arizona that we finally convinced Dad to speak in front of Cameron's class about his television writing career. It was a struggle to have him do it, but he finally conceded and the kids loved it. Dad was a bit of a kid himself. I remember we moved into the Terrapin house in 1959. Our neighbors directly behind us were the Currys. Now, I don't want to say Jim and Bob Curry were hooligans, but does anyone remember Eddie Haskell on Leave It to Beaver? His character was written with the Curry boys in mind. Now, the Curry boys were an athletic bunch, and one day they had Rick and I pinned down during a dirt-clod fight along the side of our house. We were also doing our best, but we were outnumbered because brothers Bill Curry was also participating. Dad and I think his writing partner, Eric too, came out, saw what was going on, and instead of putting a stop to it, proceeded to begin firing dirt clods back at the Currys because he swore it was those kids who had been throwing dirt clouds over the fence into our pool. Well, we kicked their butts. Over the years, Jim and Bob have disputed that claim, but trust me, we did. Another example of the kids and dads is captured in the true story about our drive over to Phoenix to visit one of his lifetime friends, Jim Bryant. I was about 7 to 8 years old, and Rick was about 10, 11, I guess. Now you have to understand that Rick and I were not big hypodermic needle fans due to our family doctor who would stick you if you had a hangnail. As we're driving over, getting closer and closer to the Arizona border, Dad casually mentioned we had to get shots in order to get into Arizona. Shots? We said. Yeah, shots. But it's no big deal, Dad said. It's real simple. All you have to do is roll down the window, drop your pants, stick your butt out the window, and they'll poke you at the border as you drive by. There was a silence in the back of the car, like you wouldn't believe. Rick and I bought it, hook, line, and sinker. Thankfully, Dad and Mom broke out in laughter prior to the two of us starting the pant dropping process. Dad meant so much to us. I don't have the time or ability to put into words all the many ways he influenced me. One would be to always respect and love your wife. Mom and Dad shared 59 years of marriage, and overall they knew each other for 68 years. They first met when they were 12 years old. They married in 1947 when they both were 21, 1 year after Dad had returned from overseas in World War II. They got married 2 days after Dad turned 21 because he wanted to be the same age as Mom when they married. It's my opinion that Mom and Dad wrote the script for love affairs. Dad adored Mom. I remember it wasn't until I was about 14, 15 years old that I ever heard them have an argument. They were in the other room having a minor disagreement, and the sound I heard was so foreign. I walked into the room and asked, "Are you guys arguing?" I had truly never heard them argue before. Mom and Dad both started cracking up as they realized we had never been exposed to them having a disagreement before. It was Ozzy and Harriet all the way. Family was extremely important to Dad. He didn't have a lot as a kid growing up. Grandma Gwen, Dad's mom, did her best in raising Dad under difficult life circumstances. She did have the support and help of her sisters, Dad's Aunt Amy. Aunt Amy and Dad had a special relationship up until the very end. Aunt Amy held a special place in Dad's heart. Dad made life so comfortable for all of us. He gave up a lot by having to commute into Culver City every day in order for us to grow up in Orange County. But he did it. Every week he and Eric would trek out to the studio where they worked. They would usually stay a couple of nights in the apartment they had there, as the travel was too tough to make the trip every day. I tell you what though, I really don't think he ever missed a sporting event that Rick and I participated in. We were his priority, and he was always there to support us. We had a great life growing up. Mom and Dad were the reason. We used to regularly visit the Lassie set and watch them film, wander the back lots and see where they filmed the Andy Griffith Show and others. Dad would bring home mementos like a Lone Ranger silver bullet, pictures, autographs, and many other tidbits. New Year's Eve at the Disneyland Hotel, unlimited trips to Disneyland, family golf trips up the coast, lay in Pebble Beach, trips back east to North Carolina and Williamsburg. All of these are special times, etched in my mind. He loved his golf. We played countless rounds of golf together. Dad was quite a competitor up until he had to give up the game 15 years ago or so. He felt golf was a game that taught you a lot about life. Things like respect for competition, confidence, and self-control. I never once beat Dad in a round of golf. The reason I know is that I once asked Dad, I forget, did I ever beat you in a round of golf? I swear, before I got the question out of my mouth, he almost screamed, no. As I said, he was quite the competitor. His grandkids were very special to him. Jennifer, Sarah, Nick, Cameron, and Kathy meant the world to him. He was so proud of all their accomplishments. He would always ask for or give an update on how things were going with the grandkids. How's Jennifer's new job? And Tiffany? Let me tell you about the latest with Sarah and the boys. Did you hear about the fire Nick fought? How? Cameron's doing? At Cal Poly. What's up with Kathy's college search? All the updates were passed on to anyone within earshot. Another influence of Dad that touched me was the connection of lifelong friends. Dad had a core group of friends that were very special. Jim Bryan, who passed away way too young, Dr. Jack, and Frank Smith were friends forever. I may have the years off a bit, but those four were best friends from the time they were around 12 years old. They never lost contact with one another. These long-term friendships resonated with me. You see, it is with your group of friends who made sure they came to honor Dad at his celebration of life. Scott Holt, Jim Curry, Bob Curry, Stu Whedon, John Weil, Steve Gordon, Ann Gordon, Rocky Dixon, Buddy Owen, John Gardner, Bruce Martin, Bobby Ritmer. All of this group have been friends of ours, minimal since high school, many from elementary school. Their friendship meant a lot to us. And I think somehow it's all tied to that friendship connection Dad instilled in us. I know he was smiling, seeing all of them in attendance at his celebration. My message today is simply give thanks to the Lord for giving us Dad. Proverbs 13:1 says, "A wise son heeds his father's instructions." He was a wonderful father, a devoted husband, a mentor, and a best friend who is the reason I'm the man I am today because of his instruction. He had a lot of the same influence a lot of people in his life and is sorely missed. Our mom, Jan Schaefer, was also a special person. She passed away 18 months after Dad, as it seems that was about as long as she wanted to hang out without Dad. While I wrote a lot about our dad earlier, simply put, Mom was the rock of the family. While Dad was working hard and quitting and staying up in town many nights, she was always there for us as we headed off to school, always there when we returned, welcoming us home, asking how our day was, and making us a snack. There was a comfort in that I don't think we fully realized at the time, kind of like it was expected and no big thing. Looking back brings a different perspective. It was a strategic decision made by Mom and Dad. Of course, it was a big thing that took a lot of work and allowed Rick and I just to be kids. Carrying on the kids' theme at her life celebration, there was a bunch of kids: Scott, Steve, JW, Rocky, Buddy, Drew, John, Bobby, who were lucky enough to experience the welcoming wave of Mom. Mom loved having all our friends around the house as much as possible. There was also a very impressive list of lifetime family and friends of Mom's at her celebration. Family and friends were an important part of Mom's life, and each of these family had their own memories of Mom that are special to them. Keep these memories close to your heart. Mom was a great athlete, from her bowling teams where she would regularly have 200 plus games, to her golf where she had a hole-in-one. Something that Dad never did, to his frustration. To ping pong, where she rarely beat up Rick and I until we were way older than we would like to admit. She was one of a kind, I really believe. She attended every extracurricular activity that I was involved in, whether it was sports or anything else. Mom was about as tough as a character as there was. Over the last dozen or so years of her life, she was in extreme pain with her arthritis and certain other maladies, but you wouldn't know it. The thing was, if you asked her how she was doing, how her health was, she would say she was doing fine. In conversations with a handful of folks that were at her celebration, who spoke with her within a few days before her passing, those were the exact responses you'd hear from her. She just didn't want to be a complainer or a burden to anyone. Rick and Pam had Mom spend the last 4 months of her life in their home. We moved Mom there after they became apparent she could no longer take care of herself. During those last 4 months, Mom was just surrounded by her kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids, looking out in the backyard at the birds, watching the different flowers and fruits begin to bloom, and of course not missing one golf tournament on the tube. Attending to Mom during this time was a big commitment from Rick and Pat, and no doubt challenging at times. Mom couldn't have been in a more loving and comfortable environment, and she loved being there. In closing, Mom engaged in my life at a level that allowed me to grow up being confident, challenged, supported, respectful, appreciated, and most importantly, loved. Ephesians 5:6-2 says, "Honor your father and mother, that it may go well with you, and that you may enjoy life on earth." Mom, you are honored today and always. Because of you and your unconditional love, I am the person I am today. You were a special person who left a mark on everyone who attended your celebration. I know you are no longer in Peg, and you're enjoying yourself with Dad, Richie, Opal, and Patty. I miss you tremendously. Think of you always, and you will be in my heart forever.